You mentioned HSA, health savings
Mhm.
account. Will you give a quick overview of that as well?
Sure. So there's two different benefits that we talk about, an HSA or a health savings account and an FSA, a flexible spending account. They're similar but different. A health savings account goes along with a high deductible plan. It's money that is generally, when we're talking a group setting, payroll deducted from your check. Sometimes your employer can match a portion of that, sometimes they don't. But those funds go into a savings account that can be used for medical expenses. The idea on a very high level is that you're putting away money each month so that if and when something happens to you, you already have those savings to pay that high deductible, the high out of pocket. In exchange for that, you're paying lower premiums. So that's the general idea. That money can only be used for medical things, though.
Is is HSA are HSA contributions taxed? I mean, they're deducted after tax or
They are deducted pre-tax,
pre-tax?
so
So that
it is a tax savings. Yeah. And it can be a really useful tool as long as you know how to use it properly and you have the education. Because if you withdraw that money for something other than medical expenses, other than something that applies to that plan, you're going to pay a penalty and you're going to be taxed. So
Mhm.
you're hit really hard if you do
so
that.
if you want to have one of $5,000, let's say, built up over time, and you hit that, but you haven't used it, does it just roll over? Can you ever take that money? How does that work
That money builds and builds and builds,
if you don't use it?
right?
Right.
As long as you're not using it, correct. When you do reach a certain age, you can withdraw that money at no penalty. So I don't want to compare it to, Social Security or a retirement account, but you can eventually draw that money out. It's not locked in that account forever.
Right.
Um, but when you're younger, it is locked in that account. So you can't just withdraw it because, you want to take that vacation to Hawaii, right? That money's there for medical expenses.
Yeah.
If you do, penalties.
They track that with like a special credit card or something like that to keep track
Yeah.
of it.
Yep,
Okay.
it's going to work just like your bank account. Most come with a debit card so that you can swipe it right at the doctor's office. You can pay your copays, you can get your eye exam, you can go to the dentist. You can do all of those things. It doesn't have to be something that's costly. Now, you kind of financially want to weigh, do I want to leave that money in? That's a whole other story. But you just swipe that card and use that money just like you would your checking or savings account.
And it's somebody like you, an SPP. We never said the name of your company, Strategic Benefit Partners, but that's something that you establish and manage for people.
hmm So your bank will actually help you manage that.
Okay.
You do have to set up a special account. It has to be labeled a health savings account. But it works, yeah, exactly. Just like your checking or savings would, you're going to get statements. You get a statement at the end of the year, all of those good things. And then, right, between strategic benefit partners or your broker um, and the bank and your insurance company, all of that's managed.
Do you have to be a group to do that? A member of a group?
You don't. There are fees associated with it that come from the bank, especially when you're individuals. Those fees can sometimes get a little bit higher. Each bank is a little bit different, but you don't have to be a group. You just have to have a qualifying plan. So you
Okay.
cannot have, a really low deductible and an HSA account. That money can be
Mm.
there if you've had it, say, from a previous employer, but you can't add to it because there are tax advantages to kind of socking that money away on a pre-tax
But
basis.
that's something, everything we're talking about may be a little confusing, maybe
hmm
not. It's confusing to me, but that's something that somebody like you should be
Yep,
able to explain and help set up. Okay.
correct. Yep, your broker and your agent should be able to guide you in doing that.